What's up guys, Devon back at it again with yet another Devon Explains entry, and today I'm gonna talk about the greatest Godzilla that has ever been put to screen. No other Godzilla has been made quite like this one. Today we're gonna talk about Godzilla 1954, G54, the best film in the franchise with the greatest, most timeless storyline, and of course, including the very life blocks of one of my greatest and most favorite kaiju, and obviously, this video is just gonna be a bit of a filler while I make the Meanwhile, we're gonna be talking about the power of Godzilla in 1954 in his first ever appearance. The film begins and we get our first feat. Godzilla boils the ocean. He boils the ocean so much that people can't even look at the boiling. This feat has to be performed with his vapor breath, as it is literally the only way of producing heat that Godzilla has access to, and that heat is over 100 million degrees Celsius. To heat up this much water to that level of heat, you need so much energy that even if I just named you the numbers, you wouldn't really understand what they are. Godzilla's power with this feat is beyond every nuclear weapon combined. It is beyond every single super volcano on the planet going off at once. This single vapor breath could power humanity as it is today for longer than the sun has to live. If Godzilla's vapor breath was an explosive, it would be wiping out large countries like the USA, like Canada, and like Brazil. And I'm not talking about just the civilization. Every tree, every mountain, every hill, every lake, all of it would be made into a single flat plane of glass. Guys, we're not even 5 minutes into the film and this guy is already one-shotting -1 and one-shotting Shin Godzilla. G54 is a completely different level. Godzilla sits in this boiling froth of energy for 17 seconds and more without any sort of damage to himself, which means that even if you had the power to raise small continents, you wouldn't hurt Godzilla. The next time we meet Godzilla, he terrorizes Odo Island, destroying houses and caving the ground in and being all aura-like, which, these feats are small building level, which is kind of a heavy whiplash from the stuff that I was just talking about. However, there are interesting implications with this scene. After it, scientists enter the destruction site and find not just ancient life forms, but also strontium-90, a substance made in the wake of hydrogen bombs, which Godzilla now just naturally produces by existing. It's part of his metabolism. It is then theorized that Godzilla is a transitionary life form between aquatic and land-based life that lived between the Cretaceous and Jurassic periods, with Godzilla's lifestyle in specific being that of a deep-sea dweller. He lived in underground caverns and stayed there for millions of years without a single drop of air, and most impressively, he doesn't have gills. He just has an aqua lung, which either means that he can breathe underwater or hold his breath for millions of years. Now, due to living in underwater caverns where light is essentially a fucking commodity, Godzilla has a truly astounding variety of senses. We're gonna go over them right now, you and I, just so you understand that you literally can't hide from this Godzilla. His sight is so extreme that he can see blood on a 3-year-old child. He can see in extremely low light environments as though it's in the middle of the day, which would include underwater caverns that are thousands of meters under the water. He has a sonar feature like dolphins do, which allows him to sense anyone and everything around him, even in complete darkness and even underwater with no issues. He also has a magnetic band in his ears, which allows him to orient himself anywhere on Earth. And it doesn't matter how far away a sound is, Godzilla will hear it. And finally, and most impressively, even if Godzilla has no sensory reason to know you're there,
he will still know anyways.
Now, Godzilla, being a peaceful animal who lived in a cavern under the water, was irradiated by a hydrogen bomb, being struck and burnt with this mightiest of explosives. And instead of dying, Godzilla absorbed this energy, mutated his physiology, and instantaneously became a nuclear weapon himself.
Shin Godzilla's evolution is dog ass compared to this, by the way.
Godzilla's next appearance in the film is his destruction of Tokyo, wherein he... Wait, wait, wait. Wherein he performs various feats of destruction and durability that, while aren't at the level of the vapor breath boiling the ocean, they're still pretty interesting. I mean, tanks dozens of thousands of volts with no damage, and he destroys many buildings with sheer physical power. This is surprisingly an upgrade for his physical strength, since these are Tokyo buildings and not just like fishermen houses, right? Beyond Godzilla having building level physical feats, he uses his vapor breath once more, and we get to see it for the first time in full action. Godzilla melts a few towers with it, which would require 1.6 megatons of TNT to do due to how hot his breath is, and beyond that measly level of energy, we finally see the size of Godzilla's vapor breath, which, given how hot it is, to maintain a vapor breath of that size and that heat, you would need the power to wipe out multiple continents. You would need the power to wipe out every single continent on Earth, mountains and lakes and human buildings combined, and you would only be able to match Godzilla's vapor breath for a single second. And again, Godzilla can spam this breath with no cooldown, no harm to himself, and absolutely no limit to how long and how many times. G54 might actually just have infinite stamina, to be honest with you. Godzilla goes on to cause more destruction and mayhem, flipping over a 25,000-ton bridge, bending a steel tower which would require 61,000 metric tons of force to do, and destroying a bunch of buildings. And it is only then, when the entire city has been annihilated, that the military is finally around. Their weapons do nothing to Godzilla, and Godzilla can sort of mildly react and swat at transonic jets that travel at speeds that are relative to the speed of sound. And Godzilla is sorta there, but otherwise his other feats of speed are walking at 8.5 miles per hour and swinging his tail at 80 kilometers per hour. Yikes. So he's either subsonic or like superhuman in terms of speed. And his travel speed is literally slower than you. Like you could outrun G54. That's Anyways, he goes to the sea and rests, which kind of leaves me grasping at straws to be able to see how powerful G54 is with his physical muscles, because otherwise, other than these feats, which are small building level to building level, I would need to go over his GPE, his gravitational potential energy, i.e. the energy that he just needs to produce to not be destroyed by gravity, is around a single ton of TNT, which is still building level. Which ultimately means that there is no singular feat in his movie that would get his physical strength above fucking building level. However, there is a statement that Godzilla's tail can shatter small mountains, which, just making a general calculation, would mean that Godzilla's physical abilities are at the maximum megatons of TNT, or the power to destroy small cities, which is a big jump from fucking building level, and something that I am gonna accept and that you're gonna accept, especially since Godzilla is generally as strong as a nuclear weapon. It's not something that is reserved for his vapor breath, it's something that is just generally stated for him as an entire monster. He destroys cities with the power of nukes, and the way that he destroys cities is a combination of vapor breath and physical strength. The released on him next. The last time that we see Godzilla is when Serizawa sacrifices himself to not only kill Godzilla but also safeguard the knowledge of the Oxygen Destroyer. Now, what the Oxygen Destroyer does in this original form is to destroy oxygen atoms. Now, Godzilla himself breathes oxygen, so part of his body is oxygen atoms, meaning that the Oxygen Destroyer is literally destroying Godzilla's very atoms from the inside out. At the same time, all around him, massive swaths of water are having all of their oxygen atoms destroyed, which would release so much binding energy that if you made an explosion out of it, it would take out chunks of the moon. Destruction of atoms is exactly why nuclear weapons are so strong. And mind you, in the case of nuclear weapons, they're only splitting a small amount of atoms. The Oxygen Destroyer is splitting multiple million tons of water worth of oxygen all around Godzilla, and even so it takes over a minute to kill Godzilla, while he is being bathed in enough energy to destroy the moon multiple times over, and while his very oxygen atoms are being destroyed from the inside out. G54's own atoms are durable enough to withstand damage that would literally blow the moon up. G54 is more durable than a fucking moon. How can we think that this guy would be even in the same conversation as Shin Godzilla or -1 Godzilla? Fuck all of these guys. You need the power to destroy multiple moons to kill G54. Overall, G54 physically is either building level or small city level, with speed that is somewhere around the subsonic ranges, and physical durability and attack power with his vapor breath that is destroying, if not countries, then continents, with his maximum durability being multiple times greater than the energy needed to destroy the moon. When it comes to hacks, Godzilla has a really hot atomic breath that is 100 million degrees, he produces radiation constantly just as an aura, and Godzilla on top of this has a really potent array of sensors, which would allow him to essentially know everything that is happening in the battlefield, and G54's greatest hack's ability is his evolution. If you attack him with a giant burst of energy, he will absorb it, become far stronger due to it, and he will gain abilities based on that energy source. If Shin Godzilla attacked him with his atomic breath, G54 would tank it, absorb it, and shoot it back way stronger at Shin Godzilla. Okay guys, thank you very much. If you really did get to the end and then just skip to it, I am finally ready to make the Destroyer video. I have been... all this time hasn't just been like sidetracking or being lazy. There genuinely is just a lot of stuff to be able to power scale Destroyer. And with all of these things combined, I really can finally give you a full power scale for Destroyer that, if it's missing things, it's not really going to be missing big stuff. Now I am fully ready to give you the full strength of the Destroyer of Worlds. Until next time.